Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Seeing Beyond and Through with Monty. Right before you is Serbian tennis star Novak Djokovic. Novak has made some news during the Olympics because of things that he said and things that he didn't do. Novak was very frustrated, couldn't keep his cool, lost his composure, threw a couple of rackets, and broke a racket, as you see right here. Look to the bottom left. That is a broken tennis racket. And Novak was called out about his behavior. It says right here, Novak Djokovic threw a racket into the stand, smashed another, then skipped his doubles match in an Olympic meltdown. Now, he skipped a doubles match which caused his partner, it was a mixed doubles match, not to win a medal. But this is very significant here because he did all this meltdown and stuff like that. Couldn't keep his composure. And I'm going to get in that for a minute. Let's just read this. Novak Djokovic could not conceal his frustration as he failed to defeat by Pablo Carreno Busta in the men's singles bronze medal match at Tokyo 2020. You know, it was 2020, but it was delayed for a year. That's why it's calling it 2020. World number one Djokovic was denied a shot at the Golden Slam as he was beaten by Alexander Zverev in the semifinals on Friday before losing in the mixed doubles at the same stage. So basically, he won the first three slams of the year. What is that? The Australian, the French, Wimbledon. Had he would have won this one and the U.S. Open, he would have won what's called the Golden Slam. But he's still on track to win the U.S. Open, which would be the Grand Slam. And I wish him well there. I like him as a tennis player. I think he's a great combination between Federer and Nadal. But I do think that he needs to watch what he says, though. And we're going to get into that. Novak Djokovic breaks his silence on Olympics after criticism for racket throwing tantrum. So what did he break his silence on, and who did he criticize? None other than the great Simone Biles. See, here's what happened. Novak gave a little small interview about Simone Biles. But the thing about it is that, like many of us, in the beginning, he did not know her situation. He did not really know or understand what she was going through. It turns out that Miss Biles had a phenomenon that is very common in gymnastics and diving. It's called the twisties. Apparently with this phenomenon, what tends to happen is that the body and mind, there's a disconnect where you can't really control the body in the air, which can be very dangerous in gymnastics or diving. So that's what she was going through. And in vaulting floor exercise, where you know how high she can get, it could be very dangerous, particularly if she lands on her neck or her back. So therefore, she was very smart and wise to protect her health first and to make sure that she can be a whole person. I'm just talking about, able to walk, able to do gymnastics again. Not saying that people who cannot walk are confined to a wheelchair are not whole, but you know what I'm talking about. But what happened with this here is that, I'm going to read what he said. Thursday, when asked about Simone Biles, Novak Djokovic replied, "Pressure is a privilege. If you're aiming to be at the top of the game, you better start learning how to deal with the pressure and how to cope with those moments." Saturday, Novak Djokovic loses his cool, throws a racket over 5 rows of seats, breaks a second racket, and throws it into the photographer's pit, and then withdraws in his snit from his bronze medal mixed doubles match, leaving his partner unable to compete for a medal she had absolutely earned. Now, here's a man who obviously was throwing this and directing this at Simone Biles, talking about pressure is a privilege, and you should learn to deal with it, and you better deal with it. But yet when it came down to it, he couldn't deal with it. He behaved worse than what Simone did, and Simone had a legitimate reason. And another reason that Simone had was that an aunt had died during the Olympics. And we'll talk about that for a minute. But I want to tell you one thing about this here. People clowned him about Simone Biles. And here's what they're saying about his comments directed towards Simone. When did Novak Djokovic become a really bad sports psychologist? Narrator, Djokovic did not successfully deal with pressure. And you can see the laughing emojis just cracking up. See how that came back to bite him in the butt right there? You would have done a lot better when you do not know a person's situation. Just no comment. I just hope that she comes through whatever she's coming through well. That's it. Novak Djokovic Olympic meltdown shows hypocrisy of his Simone Biles criticism. See right there, it does show hypocrisy. The very advice that you were giving someone, what you were telling someone to do, how they should handle pressure, you can't yourself. Now, listen to this here. Simone Biles revealed her aunt unexpectedly died during the Olympics. You have to be a little bit more mindful of what you say online because you have no idea what these athletes are going through as well in their sport. I had no idea about this either until I read this here. And I want to say one thing about a family member or who told her this. They should not have told her this during the middle of an important competition like the Olympics, because the aunt had already died. I do believe that if she was living on her deathbed, you should tell someone, because I do believe in the power of prayer, positive thinking, positive vibrations that you can send to people. Those do work. They can turn things around. But when she had already died, I think I would have delayed telling her until it was over, because naturally bad news like this is going to affect someone. So I don't think it was a good idea as to who even told her this during the Olympics when the person had already died. But this goes back to saying, when someone is at a meet, is going through something obviously, you need to be very mindful of what you are saying. And just go back to the elementary thing that you have been taught. If you do not have anything nice to say about someone, do not say anything at all. She was going through a great deal. And in going through that great deal, she came through on the balance beam with the bronze medal. This is just amazing. Amazing. Novak Djokovic left the Olympics with no medals, but yet he was critical of Simone Biles and telling her how to deal with pressure, and you better deal with pressure. And he's the one who bowed out and melted under pressure. I will say this much. I do not believe that anything was racial. I don't think there was a racial tint there. I just think that Novak has a tendency to speak his mind, to be very outspoken. And I believe that he spoke without thinking, without even knowing her situations. But lesson learned now. And I'm sure that he will take away from this being an even more careful speaker when asked about the situations of others. Because this truly did come back to bite him in the butt. And people, be very mindful of what you say, because words can cast spells. Words have power, they have energy, and they're carried out there into the universe. And this came back to bite him in the butt big time. The very thing that he spoke of, it boomeranged back to him. Now, Simone Biles leaves the Olympics with the bronze medal. Bravo. Making her tied as the most decorated American gymnast of all time. And with that, No doubt she is the greatest gymnast still of all time. She has nothing else to prove to anyone. She handled the pressure that she was given, cheering on her teammates, keeping up a smile, being positive, and I'm sure that was not easy. But you know what, people? Sometimes winning is a lot more than medals. Winning is many times the attitude that you put forth, the encouragement that you give to others, and how you hold up under pressure. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that is another edition of Seeing Beyond and Through with Monty, and I will see you beyond and through.